All right, hello. So in this particular video, Healing Empowered, I am going to talk about how the importance and the value of a community group. So your community group can be everyone's on the same team, everyone plays in the same band, or they live in the same neighborhood. In my particular case, everyone in my community group is they're members of the same church. And so my church has different branches and different services or whichever, but these are still members of the same church. So what is the value though? You can all have some different things, and you can have differences and some similarities, but your goal of the community group, you must agree on. And how you arrive at this goal and what that looks like, you must agree on. And there are benefits and there are pros and cons to differences and similarities between the people and how much of a difference, and in how much you guys are similar. There's pros and cons to that in community groups, and it may work differently between different groups. So if your goal is, if your community group is based off of where you live, everyone lives in the same neighborhood, or everyone is a business owner in this particular city, then the goals for your group are obviously going to look different from group to group. So in this video, how do you heal and how do you empower yourself with the healing? And what does that have to do with community groups? Well, in my particular instance, I want to use this video to share how community group has really empowered me in my healing by being, number one, it's just a chance to be heard and a chance to listen. So I have family and I have friends. However, the community group has provided me with an opportunity to be heard and also blessed me with what I did not understand and I did not pursue, was an opportunity to learn I am not a good listener. And sometimes what I hear from others is not exactly what they're saying. And so it really has strengthened, and it will continue to strengthen, because I'm actually although it's called a community group, it's a life group. And so we've made a commitment in my particular group to have a lifelong relationship, committing to participating and sharpening each other biblically. So although I have family and I have friends, because of the goal of this group, I've been able to go through an experience and bring that situation into the awareness of my community group. And just being heard over and over and over has, in my particular situation, allowed those members, my members of the same community group, to take on the assignment of prayer. And even I was frustrated with that in the beginning. I just dismissed the power of that. I just dismissed the relevance of that. But that prayer allowed them to verbalize my situation, and their ideas came to mind as far as like connecting me to resources. And when I got connected to those resources and just other people that were able to have a solution focus given to me, then I was able to enter into a transition to where my problem was in the process of getting solved. And it didn't come to where it became solved, but it definitely became managed. And I just give all glory to God for that. So that was a blessing. And I definitely want to put that out there. Enter into a community group to where you can have a huge situation that you're aware of, and you don't have to wear it yourself. Enter into a group of people that hear you, and they may not even be having the same experience, but because they have the same goal, because they are what is it when you chain link with someone within the arms, since they're on a journey with you to go toward that goal, they can't have you struggling. So it would behoove them, it would be beneficial to them to help you remove that shackle and become freer, so that when their situation overwhelms them, you too would be able to provide the same freedom, the same help, and connecting them to resources with their situation. So I put a chance to be heard by an entirely different makeup of people. So I've said already twice that I have friends and I have family members. However, sometimes when I have living parents and siblings, but there's a situation that is familial, and talking with the family may not be the best way for me to get to a solution. And so my family may provide ideas that actually may create a cyclical pattern, not a solution. It'll bring it to where it's not a big deal, but not so much squash the situation. So sometimes people out of the situation may be able to help. And then maybe talking at work about something personal, or just something that may take time to talk about, may not even be allotted in the workplace. And so it was another opportunity to talk to human beings, just that were able to provide me the gift of being heard. And I too was able to come up with ideas, just because now I'm able to talk, narrate my situation, narrate how I feel about it, narrate how what it's causing me emotionally, what it's causing me in my thoughts, and how it is sending me into a different just whirlwind of I want to say I just do believe some psychological, just like anxiety, some things that just we don't catch in the onset because we're so focused on our problem. We don't realize that there's some psychological problems that can develop when we don't try to manage ourselves while we're in a situation. Some people don't even think that's possible. No, I have to take care of the situation. I don't have to take care of myself first. You really got to be cognizant that your health and your awareness also is valuable. So sometimes just pull yourself out if that's possible. So not all situations will allow you to do that. So there was the benefit. Many times community members are similar to you in only 2 to 5 separate ways, 2 to 4 separate ways. And that's a blessing because you'll be able to share your situation with other people that have, where they're coming from. You know what their agenda is. They want to talk about business, or they want to talk about their family. They want to talk about the neighborhood because they want to talk about the team because that's where you guys came from. That's the church that you guys came from, the team that you guys came from. But when there is something that is impeding on your thought and how you communicate, how you contribute to the group, then it's obvious that you have to take care of that before you can have a talk about the team or the community, or the neighborhood, or the issues of the church. So listening may not be one of your strong suits. So being a listening ear, lending your ear to other people also is something that you'll be blessed with, that lesson in your community group. So when you hear of someone talking about something that has nothing to do with you, and it's a problem, like it bothers you, but you can talk all day about yourself, community groups will really eat away at you if the community group is genuine and authentic and is able to come to you and say, hey, we sense that you are hesitant to hear others, but generous to share, day by day, what goes on from week to week or month to month, however many times you guys meet. But the community meetings will really strengthen your capability to be able to hear other people, not just to hear them, but to provide edification, to provide them, and to understand that you don't need to come with a solution. That's not what everyone is asking, but you can provide prayer. You can provide support. You can provide a hug. You can provide a hand to them, if someone else wants to pray, I'll hold your hand. So to be supportive, it can come by you being silent and you giving them your attention, and or shoulder to cry on, or just being there with tissues. And so being supportive and being a listener is everything that gives them with the opportunity to be heard. So benefits can cause you to get developing a genuine concern for a member that has a concern that you typically would care less about. Woo! So if they were able to share something, and most likely, yeah, if other people share some things, when it's your turn to be a listener, consider demonstrating exactly, not with retaliation, but Romans 12:18 says, so much as it depends on me, let there be peace. And so we don't want retaliation, but we definitely want to reflect what Jesus would want us to do. Even if you're just a member on a community group that's at work, not at work, but businesses, is the reason why you guys commune together, or you're on the same team or in the same neighborhood. If they share something that you could care less about, this is great. Be joyful in this opportunity to demonstrate how Jesus would behave in this opportunity, in this setting, in this event. So another, depending on the authenticity or maturity and comfortability of, I don't know if I made that word, and the comfort level of members of your community, you may arrive at the therapeutic outlet that you have dearly needed. So, if you don't have another outlet, prepare yourself to be hooked on the element that you receive in the meeting with this group. If you have not been heard, it's going to be difficult for you to hear other people. And a lot of times when you haven't been heard from traumatic events, from any abuse, anytime you got stalled in your development, anytime you got stunted in what you thought you were doing right, and you just got chastised and it just came from nowhere. Anytime that happens in your past and you haven't been heard, when you actually took the time to share to someone and they didn't allow you that opportunity, or they heard every word you said, but they didn't receive the emotion that you are receiving from it, a lot of times it's hard for you to move on from that. You will continue to narrate the story until someone hears you and is able to validate your feelings. Sometimes you won't be able to develop from that time period, from that experience, because you are so focused on what happened. You can't continue to happen. You can't continue to develop. You are so stuck back then at that time when that thing happened that just came out of left field. So a community group may give you the peace of mind that you have so desperately wanted, but have no skills on how to even behave here, that you may begin to not so much overshare, but to share at the expense of others, not allowing them to be heard as well. It is a gift to be heard. It is a blessing to be heard. It is good and nourishing. And so when all of your life is coming out, that's good, but also be in, when you have the floor, when it's your time to share about your week, when it's your time to share about how your business is doing, or how your own practices are doing, for the benefit of the whole team, or what you're noticing in the neighborhood that the whole members of this neighborhood community group could benefit from, your information, or just something that you've observed. Remember to share Share in a way that's respectful. So that would, you consider time, how much you're sharing. And remember that if you're only seeing this group once a month, there may be a lot of things that you are experiencing within that time frame. So try to not, you may end up dumping so much onto the members that you don't realize that you may deprive other members of the opportunity that they look forward to, just like you do this entire month. So look for other ways to share that information midweek, mid-month, in an email, in a text, after asking if it's okay. They may want you strictly to only share in the community group, because in the meetings, they may strictly want you to only share in the meetings, in the general meetings when you guys meet up. But if there's so much information, some of that information may be time sensitive, and some of that information may require so much time that it'll deprive other people of sharing. From time to time, ask if there is another way to share information that you have that would be beneficial to others, or may not be beneficial to others. It just may be beneficial to you. If you realize that you have a lot to say and it takes a lot of time, be respectful of others so that they too are allotted the same amount of time to share about all the people in their lives that provide just as much drama as you are having. And so, that's another way to be sharpened through this group, when we still use it to pour out and to share and allow ourselves to be sharpened, and also consider other people that are a part of the group and not weaken them by making them wait the next month, the next meeting, but considering them as you share. So, last point I have is accountability. So our group is to sharpen each other biblically. So we're not always cutting away, sometimes applauding and encouraging, edifying, and just acknowledging that you are really doing well. This is not how you spoke about your boss last week. So I see here that you are doing less of what your flesh would want you to do, and you're doing more so of what honoring God and do it and just behaving how he would want you to behave in your situation with your boss, for example. So to enter and remain in the community group, each member would need to read the word, memorize scripture, have a plan of spiritual readiness to respond biblically at each onset. Otherwise, you think, say, or do something instinctively or of the flesh and misrepresent the body of Christ. So in my group, we hinder our own spiritual growth and readiness when we relax. When you relax and do not see those things as a daily upkeep, and we become no longer qualified to act in wisdom and love as a partner in a spiritual walk that is diligently attacked by warfare. So when we read out statements, take those moments and to get feedback from other members. So like I said, my community group is based on the fact that all of us are members of the same church. Now, when other people share, allow for the differences and the similarities between other members sharing to be heard, and to be for everyone to express how they feel about what was shared, for the sole purpose of trying to formulate the identity of that group. So when you begin to, so if someone shares that, hey, I actually don't practice any other time except whenever we practice as a team, that allow that to be, allow commentary on that, and let not groups be so rigid that the identity of the group cannot formulate, so that how people, what people are doing in their own personal time and are willing to reveal is never given the opportunity to be highlighted, to be shared, to be verbalized. But the purpose of other people sharing that would really formulate the ideals and the just the things that you stand up for, and what the group is going to stand up for, or what they're not. And so if someone were to say that, that would be really great for the group to allow that to be said. And then when, how does that make you feel, what Johnny just shared? Okay, well, it makes me feel like you don't care about the team and our success. You just take this as a hobby, as opposed to something more serious than that, like we do. And then ideals and beliefs are going to be expressed because they'll begin to validate their statements by, this is what I do on my spare time. I practice 3 other times throughout the week other than the weekly practices we have as a team. And if there's anybody that is forward thinking, that is solution focused in their mind, then the ideals of each member will be revealed, and then you'll know how to work with each other respectfully. Oh, even though you practice 3 times a week other than the weekly groups practice, and we're still all performing at the same, or you really outperform all of us, or you still not, I don't know about what they say, then he'll have to readjust his ideals about what he thinks and how that contributes to the overall group. Because we're going to be standing on our ideals and our ideologies, and it's why we do things. But when we are given the opportunity to hear others share and to share our feedback about that, we will come, the only way that you won't be arguing is if you understand the purpose of, if the goal intended can be managed, which is we just want to hear what you have to say, not so much that we're going to discuss it to the point to where someone is wrong or someone is right, but that, okay, we heard what you had to say, and we want to know, is there anything that you feel that we should do, or do you have any opinions or any, just so that people can express what they're saying. But there's got to be a lot of, not so much self-control, but there's got to be a managing of the conversation so that there's just open for sharing, not so much discussion, because it can really get centered on just 2 people with opposing views. And it can get, members can even become non-members because, not because a person shared, because a person shared and they didn't get an opportunity to share what they feel that opposes that. But they could, that's one, but someone else shared, I said what I wanted to say that opposes that, and then we ended up getting in a back and forth, and I don't feel like that person understood where I was. So if it's more so we understand, just if there's any if there's any way that that there's less conversation and more just say what you feel about it, and then be able to understand that the purpose is for just venting and not holding it back. And not holding it back, but we can get the identity of the people in this group, but that we still are able to have these different views and still be people of the same neighborhood, and still support be able to cooperate, even though we have just those differences we're not going to focus on the differences. We're going to focus on the similarities of all members in this group, which is we're still able to be on this team. We'll still be able to share opinions about different businesses, we're still able to be members of this church and of this community group, and be able to share biblical scripture to others, and focus on, be aware of the differences, because they were verbalized, and then be able to still stay together because we value the similarities of each other. And so that is not really offered other places, unless some cultures of different businesses really dig into that, and some do, I'm glad I was able to witness this and experience this, but these elements haven't really been experienced by me in other areas of my life. But because it's coming from my church, then it's out there, it's available, and I definitely wanted to share it here. So thank you for listening. It's a long video, but thank you. Take care, and subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know what is working for you and how your groups are talking and respecting each other, valuing allowing the differences to be shared, but remembering and just glorifying and preserving the similarities between each other. Thank you. Bye.